All right, Dawg fans, here we go. It's time for week 2 of Talkin Huskies right here on Root Sports Northwest, which means it's week 1 for the Husky football season, kicking off this Saturday at 12:30 versus Boise State. Dave Softhy-Mahler is my name, joined by former Husky, former NFL tight end Cam Cleland. And Cam, here we go, baby. Weeks and weeks and weeks of training camp finally coming to an end this Saturday versus Boise State. Could not be more fired up to be here, pal. How are you, buddy?
Man, I'm feeling good. You finally get to hit somebody with a different colored jersey on. You know, these guys have been thinking about it for months, getting ready for Boise State. And it's not an easy opener, man. It really isn't. A Mountain West big-time team. And we're just here. We're past 0 week. We're in the week where we can start talking about playing somebody else. I'm pumped up.
Yeah, we saw one Pac-12 team already underway, USC hammering San Jose State in the Coliseum over the weekend. We can talk about that as the show goes on, but obviously before we get to Boise State, Cam, lots of news coming out of UW since the last time we spoke on the air. First of all, let's start right at the top. Jennifer Cohen, who was at UW for 25 years. You've known her just as long as I have. She's a Husky through and through, shocking the world and taking off to become the new AD at USC. How about that? Your reaction to Jen Cohen leaving for the Trojans, man?
Well, just like you said, we've known Jen, both you and I, we've known her forever. She's been a Husky forever. It's this business side of it. I wish her all the luck in the world. I try not to get on the side of what's best for people, and instead of compared to what's best for the Huskies. You want someone that wants to be there, and sometimes you want to upgrade and go to a different opportunity. I totally get that. It's just next man up mindset, next person, whoever is set to lead the Huskies in the future. And I know they'll do quite their due diligence in finding the next athletic director and leadership, but I love Jen, respect her tremendously. And for her and her family and the opportunity she wanted to go get it, I understand. It just means that now we have to beat up on her quite a bit every year when we get a chance to play USC year in and year out.
Yeah, no question. Aaron O'Connell, who's been around campus for a while, the former AD at SPU, will take over for now as the interim athletic director. Lots of big names getting tossed around out there. Whoever they hire, it's got to be, as you know, Cam, a football person first and foremost. I thought Jen did a phenomenal job making sure that Ryan Grubb got the money he needed to turn down places like Alabama, finding the money to give Kalen DeBoer the extension after year 1 and 11 wins coming off the 4-8 season the year before with Jimmy Lake. So football makes the whole machine run, and obviously whoever the AD is has got to be cognizant and aware of that, and I'm certain they will find a person that understands that. But the other big piece of news this week for Husky football, bad news, man. Cam Davis, your leading back from last year, 13 touchdowns last season, incredible in pass protection last year, formed that great 1-2 punch with Wayne Talapapa, out for the year with a knee injury. Cam Davis gone. How about that?
Well, it sucks because injuries happen every single year, and when they happen in training camp, that's the ones that grind at you the most. And being a part of it and understanding of someone that got hurt in training camp and lost an entire season, I feel for that young man. 13 touchdowns. He was a red zone monster for us. Those short yardage plays, the catches some of the catches that he made when he needed to out of the backfield. How do you replace that? Well, the Huskies do have a lot of depth. And that was one room where the upgrades and going out and getting transfers and knowing that the Huskies needed to do that, you're going to miss him. I mean, but how do you replace it? This next man up mindset of what it is to be able to run the football, and hopefully the Dawgs, with that offensive line and the change of the offense, we get to see more of a little bit of a run game too, but a big loss in the red zone, man. It's just hard to replace it, but next guys are going to have to step up very quickly.
Yeah, no doubt. And obviously UW, Kalen DeBoer, Ryan Grubb, Lee Marks, running back coach, did a great job with a transfer last year from Virginia and Wayne Talapapa. What do we make of the guy they got now as running back number 1, Dylan Johnson, the transfer from Mississippi State? We know he can run the ball. We know he can catch the ball, Cam. Over 100-plus catches the last 2 years as a Rebel down there in Mississippi State. Will Nixon, the transfer from Nebraska, backing him up. So right now on the depth chart, it's 2 transfers at 1 and 2, Dylan Johnson and Will Nixon. Is there a guy in that group right now that you like?
I think, of course, we know Will, and I saw what he was able to do, but now you get to see multiple athletes, and I think that the way Coach Grubb and Coach DeBoer want to change this offense a little bit, first of all, you have to be able to pass protect. That's a number one. I know it sounds a little cliche. It's like asking running backs, but you're going to have to pick up blitzes. because this Husky offense is going to get blitzed more this year. They're going to try to get to Penix, so that's number one. Versatility out of the backfield, catching screen plays. So it just depends on how much at the beginning of the season, what we're going to see and how much rotation. Who's going to get the bulk load of carries when we know this team can throw the football all over yard. But in the end, you're going to still have to run the football in the red zone and find that bell cow down there.
Yeah, I think Michael Penix would love to hand it off, just up 45 points in the fourth quarter. That's when the guy wants to hand it off. But listen, the offensive line obviously is different than it was a year ago. I think, Cam, you got two NFL tackles and Troy Fautanu at left tackle and Roger Rosengarten at right tackle. I would prepare as Husky fans to see those guys play for one more year, and I think both of them are out the door. But the interior of your offensive line is brand new as far as your starters go, right? I mean, it may include some names that we're all familiar with: Mateo Mele, Nate Kalepo, Julius Bilo. There's one guy, though, at right guard when the depth chart came out on Monday that surprised some people. He's 6'2", 275-pound, three-star offensive guard out of Scottsdale, Arizona. Redshirt freshman Parker Brailsford will start against Boise State. How about that?
Yeah, I don't know if it's a little bit of a shock. I trust everything that you see what Coach Huff puts out on that depth chart. And understanding guys are going to play a lot. So Parker Brailsford, let's say this again, it's 6'2", 275. That's what he's listed at. Now, he played a lot of center. His feet are phenomenal. We talk about his ability and his intelligence, but now they have to put him at guard. His size and his strength, we've seen undersized linemen be very successful, but this kid deserved to be in there because he worked his butt off and he earned this spot. And I trust what they're putting out there.
Hey, Boise State coming up week 1 on Saturday at 12:30. Big thanks to the law offices of Catherine Clark for being here every week for Talkin Huskies. What do you say we shift gears and get to Boise State? The Broncos here Saturday for week 1. We'll get to that next on Talkin Huskies. All right, Dog fans, back here for week 2 with Talkin Huskies. Week 1 versus Boise State Saturday at 12:30. Dave Softy-Mahler is my name. Cam Cleveland is his name. We're talking Huskies every week right here on Root Sports Northwest. And Cam, before we talk about Boise State and the challenges the Broncos present on Saturday, Talkin Green, the quarterback for Boise State, a redshirt sophomore. We know the guy can run, and facing running quarterbacks is going to be a challenge all year long for this Husky defense, including starting with week 1 this Saturday versus Talkin Green of Boise State. UW co-defensive coordinator Chuck Morrell talked about that Monday on campus.
I think you look at statistically on him, for him a year ago, a 2,000-yard passer, but then when he runs the ball, averaging over 7 yards a carry. And I think, that's a common theme for us this entire upcoming season is our concern for running quarterbacks is at an all-time high. It's something that we're going to see a great player week 1, and it's going to, the hits are going to continue to come throughout the course of the season because that's the style of quarterback play that's, at the forefront of the Pac-12 right now.
All right, so let's start with Talkin Green because we're going to see a lot of running quarterbacks, Cam, in this conference. Caleb Williams can run. Bo Nix can run. DJ Ungalele can run. Jaden DeLora of Arizona can run. So why not see one in week 1 in Talkin Green this Saturday, pal?
Well, and you said it right there. The Pac-12 is loaded with guys. And actually, I like to say Michael Penix is the anomaly. He's the one that doesn't run. I mean, he can, but it's not like we're like, hey, Mike, get down the field and run everywhere. No. Hold on. Stay in that backfield, throw the ball, distribute to your All-Americans and your wide receivers. But, yeah, you're looking at Talkin Green, 2,042 yards last year on the ground. He had 14 touchdowns in the air. But here's the better part, 588 on the ground, 10 touchdowns. He's third in the team in rushing. So this guy, when we talk about dual threats, that's what college quarterbacks are nowadays. We don't see the standalone pocket guys. It's just so rare. So how does this Husky defense have to combat it? What do they have to do? Coach Morrell said it. Coach Inge said it. They have to play better defense and contain it. And these quarterbacks, it used to be you could sit back there and say, all right, just a minute. We give them 3 seconds, and they're going to dump it down. Now it's 4, and it's 5, and you're having to cover down the field. It's scary because these guys are that much of a threat.
Yeah, no doubt. This will be obviously the face of college football for the majority of the year for UW. But going back to your comment about Michael Penix not running, and look, obviously there were reasons last year that we did not see that, mostly because they didn't need to do it. They had Cam Davis. They had Wayne Talapapa. They had an offensive line that protected him maybe as well as any offensive line in Kalen DeBoer's career. I actually asked him on the air on KJR last week, have you ever had an offensive line only allow 7 sacks the entire year? And he thought about it for a second and said probably not. So, look, the offensive line did a phenomenal job of protecting number 9, but we know, Cam, that he's got that in his toolbox. Is this the year that maybe, just maybe, we see Michael Penix take off and use those legs a little bit more?
Well, you might have to. And again, if you are blitzed, and that means, okay, the core 4 on down linemen, if you're going to be blitzed, run with 4. Let's say they bring 5. You have 5 linemen. Let's do math. Michael Penix is the 6th guy. 5 blockers and then 1 free runner means that you're going to have some lanes. And it just, all that means is the way the gaps and the way they spread out and the spacing of the Husky offense is terrifying to defenses. So a lot of the times, they're going to drop 6. They might drop 7. That means there's a lot of running lanes for Mike. And if he wants to extend the play, just be really good at baseball and slide, my friend, because we don't need to be taking hits down the field. But I'm with you. Now that he finished a full season with confidence, I got no problems with him extending the play, getting 4 and 5 yards, get out of bounds, and get down. I mean, that's the good part, and he can do it.
And this is a Boise State offense, Cam, as you know, that it's not just about Green. They got a running back in George Halani, who was a 1,000-yard back from a year ago. This is a good football team, right? 10-4 last year in the Mountain West. They got 9 guys back on offense, including 3 starters on the offensive line, 5 players back on defense, and Andy Avalos, the former defensive coordinator at Oregon. All of us have been following his career in the last maybe 4 or 5 seasons, going back to his days with Mario Cristobal. Give us your take on the challenges the Husky offense will see this week against a Andy Avalos coach defense.
Well, because there is that familiarity, but remember, this is Coach Avalos' first time going up against this Husky style of offense. Not that he hasn't seen that kind of offense before, and of course, they've been studying it quite a bit. Coach Avalos was very good as a defensive-led team down at Oregon, and then they tried to do their best, but look at it from this way, is that every time you play a Boise State team, they're still their identity's the same as it's always been. It's tough. They're going to be scrappy. They're going to try a lot of different things, and what's their risk? Why wouldn't they blitz more? Why wouldn't they try to create undue pressure all the time? They have 0 risk. The pressure's on Washington to come out as a top 10 team in the country and try to whoop it up.
Well, let's get to Hot and Cold, brought to you by our friends at Nordstrom Heating and Air. Let's talk about maybe the cold of this game. A little scary. UW is a heavy 14.5-point favorite against Boise State. That number makes me a little nervous, Cam. How about you?
Yeah, I don't know. I look at it like this, and I go 14 points and how to do it. I'll take a 6-point win, a 3-point win. A W is a W at this point. We're getting the gambling side and go, 14, do you cover? Do you manage it? It's a close game, man. I think it is. I think it really is, and you got to get the rust off at the beginning of the season. Yeah,
and then the hot would be Eddie Olafosio, who's shifting numbers, by the way, from 48 to 5, in case you find yourself confused on Saturday afternoon. Played in 5 games last year after the injury that kept him out the majority of the 2022 season, missed the back half of 2021. Edifuan Olafosio, again, now number 5, is back starting at linebacker for this football team. That is huge news, Cam, for UW.
It's big, and I will go with this. And mark this, here we are at week 2. I think Eddie Olafosio is the cheat code for this Husky defense this year. And it means a lot because his ability to spy, and if you do have somebody that's athletic enough, and again, you look at him physically and you get to see the amount of time he spent in the weight room, the way his body has changed, he is the guy that's going to have to shadow. And that, when I mean shadow, cover these quarterbacks down the field and make sure that they aren't extending the plays for ungodly amounts of time. So Eddie is a key.
The key to this Husky football team for 2023, in my opinion, Cameron, is the defense. Let's come back and talk more about them next on Talkin Huskies right here on Root Sports Northwest. All right, Dog fans, back here on Talkin Huskies, UW Boise State on Saturday at 12:30. Cam, last year, the Husky defense, I thought, a little bit of a bumpy start to the 2022 season, picked up some steam as the year went on, including that phenomenal second half in the Apple Cup against Washington State and Cam Ward. How about the 2023 version of the Husky defense? Got some transfers in the depth, including Jabbar Muhammad at corner, Raylan Goforth at linebacker from USC. Let's talk about the belief meter, the hope meter, the confidence meter in this defense after what you've seen so far in fall camp.
Dave, ask me what the key is to winning the Pac-12 championship game for the Washington Huskies.
Cam, what's the key to winning the Pac-12 championship game for the Washington Huskies?
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm so glad you said that. So in 2016, guess who's the number one defense? Oh, that would be the Washington Huskies. 17 points per game, 316 on the yard. 2018, guess who's the number one defense? Well, that would be 16 points per game, and that would be 306 on the ground. Last year, fourth. Okay, so what does that mean? Do I expect this Husky defense to be number one on offense and number one on defense? Okay, let's be realistic. That would be incredible, and that would be a college football playoff team. Not saying it can't happen. This defense for this Washington Husky football team has to be in the top 3 this year to get to that Pac-12 championship game. There's going to be a crap ton of offense, and how do you stop it? Well, the threat was always the mindset of outscore everybody. I think defense is the key. But you have to finish in the top 3. Does that mean you got to keep teams, probably, this is my hot number here, 25 points per game? That's the number that you should probably average and hold right there. And then you're going to have to score 35 to 38 in that range. Defense, still the old saying, wins championships. That's how important it is.
No doubt, because I think everybody assumes, and rightfully so, that this offense will be electric again in 2023. So tell us what kind of performance you get from the UW-D, and maybe more importantly, what you get from that UW secondary, Cam, because you got some upperclassmen back there at safety in Hampton and Asa Turner, but do they have a shutdown corner a la Sidney Jones, a la Byron Murphy on this football team? You look at Mish Powell at the Husky position, the nickelback position, Elijah Jackson, the transfer Jabbar Muhammad from Oklahoma State. Is there a day 1 or day 2 NFL corner right now on this roster?
That's a really good question. Jabbar Muhammad is getting all the attention as he transfers from Oklahoma State. You're going to get tested. And that was fair. And certainly everybody is going to want to try to test you one-on-one. If you do that, that means your pass rush has to be better. If you can cover for 3 to 4 seconds down the field, all right, and we can get some interceptions. At the beginning of the season, Asa had a couple, but the interceptions dropped off because teams started throwing underneath. And they're going to test you deep. That means you have to be able to play man coverage. What is going to be the signature to this Husky defense in the secondary? You're going to have to be physical. You're going to have to push guys around and not let them get off the football free and have them running down the field. Caleb Williams at USC, you let that guy like that and everybody just run down the field. You saw what they did versus San Jose State. That offense is threatening. Everybody's coming after you in the secondary. Just be better at pass rush and it'll take care of it.
Well, that USC-San Jose State game, if that's any indication, when the Dawgs and Trojans get together in the Coliseum in November, I don't know what the over is, but take it. Whatever it is, take the over and prepare for about a 17-hour game, by the way. 2 Huskies making first-team AP All-American. We'll come back and talk about those 2 Dogs next on Talkin Huskies right here on Root Sports Northwest. All right, Dog fans, final segment for us on Talkin Huskies this week. Appreciate you being here every single week. We're talking Dogs with Cam Cleland. My name is Dave Softy Mahler. And Cam, a lot of awards for you back in your Husky career. I'm trying to remember, did you ever make first team AP All-American during your Husky playing days, pal?
I didn't make first team, but I was an All-American, and it still matters. You can just say it. Thanks for throwing that dart out there at me, but I appreciate it.
Listen, there's 2 people here. Only one of them played in the NFL, and it ain't me. Only one of them was a preseason All-American, and it was you, pal. So Listen, congratulations on that. They can never, ever take that away from you. But what they can never take away from Roma Dunze and Braylon Trice, first team preseason AP All-American. I talked to both those guys last week. Both of them love the honor, but both of them know they want that honor at the end of the year, not the start of the year.
Yeah, because it's part of what you're going to do, and the pressure gets on you. You start to think about it, and I'm not saying that that's going to be Rome. And looking and talking to Braylon and seeing their attitudes and their mindset, this is a group of guys that want to play well together. Individual accolades are fantastic. That looks really good on your resume. But what looks better is when you're pointing to a ring at the end of the season and you're dancing at the end at a Rose Bowl or a national championship, and certainly in Vegas, which is the only goal that you can control this year, is making sure you're standing in Vegas with a Pac-12 championship at the end. That's what those guys want. But yes, notoriety as a first-team guy, that means everybody's looking at you. And that means your leadership has to step up a little bit too, because everybody's going to be double teaming you. But it also makes the guys that aren't double teamed, they got to step up and they might be getting the rock a little bit more. Whatever it is, it's an awesome for them to be able to be voted that way.
And you wonder how much does this kind of fire up ZTF? Braylon was the one that was first team All-American, not Zion. How much does it fire up Jalen McMillan? His running mate Rome was the preseason All-American and not him. I would think that for both those guys, they're fired up as heck. They love their brothers. They're excited for them, but there's got to be a little fire that was lit under both those guys seeing their running mates get that kind of honor.
Yeah, absolutely. And why wouldn't you want to compete in your own room? You understand those wide receivers are called takers. I mean, and all of them want the football. There's only one football out there, and Mike's going to dish it, and he's going to put it out there. But you have to cover all those guys, Jalen Polk, Jalen McMillan, Rome Odunze, on offense. Try covering all of them with three guys. Not going to happen. And on defense, yeah. All right, if you want to slide your protection over to Braylon, ZTF, those ears are going to be like, all right, here we go. I'm one-on-one on the outside, and he can carve the corner with the best of them. Healthy, coming off his injury, had a good season last year. Now we have more depth. Yeah, I'm excited about that pass rush too.
Well, the good news, it's time for the talking to end. It's time to play football. Saturday, 12:30 against Boise State. That's it for week 2. For Talkin Huskies, for Cam Cleland, our producer Alex, I'm Dave Softy-Mather. We'll talk to you next week before the Dawgs take on Tulsa. Hopefully 1-0 after a win versus Boise State. We'll see you then right here on Talkin Huskies.